Diddy was extra arrogant, and the length of time, I think, is incredibly persuasive and moving for the judge. Obviously, this is not something that happened once or twice and he got his hand caught in the cookie jar. This was built into what Diddy did. This was his culture, and he was truly lawless, just to put it where it really is. And so, the judge has been very honest about, I don't think that this deters you. And, I tell you, that tracks with me. Maybe we're all wrong, but to go off of what we've had happen and had said and had done and the trial record, that's not unreasonable for the judge to say that.
It's absolutely wrong. The jury verdict was disregarded, and it's not supposed to happen. You shouldn't do that. Going to trial is already hard enough. When the jury speaks, you need to listen.
I think it sends the wrong message to people.
This is wrong. We have to change the way we look at it. We are incarcerating way too many people. So 2 years is an eternity.
Y'all, Diddy has officially been sentenced, and unfortunately, this is yet another harsh wake-up call that those who have money rarely face any of the consequences of their actions, no matter what evidence is stacked up against them. The internet has been buzzing, child, with people angry that Diddy got away with a slap on the wrist after his victims put their lives on the line to testify against him, while others think that justice has been adequately served. But if there is one person that always had a strong opinion about Diddy and what he deserves, it's the Kimora Lee Simmons. And let me tell y'all, what she has been saying about the recent sentencing shows that she is not yet over the passing of one of her dearest friends, Kim Porter, and the treatment that her friend suffered at the hands of Diddy. So what exactly is Diddy's sentencing about? And what exactly is Kimora saying is the reason that Diddy didn't get what he deserved? We gonna find out. All right, so Puff Daddy had his sentencing hearing on Friday, October 3rd. So from the jump, it already appeared that we were in for a wild ride. Diddy's defense got all of his 6 children to speak up in court, and they pleaded for their father to be allowed to come home with them. Even one of his attorneys, Brian Steele, reportedly had tears in his eyes and tried to convince the judge to allow Diddy to go home, saying, "I sit here with tears in my eyes. I can't believe we're here. Sean has impacted America in such a positive manner. Sean's father was killed when he was 3. He works harder than anyone else. More trauma. His best friend is shot in LA in a drive-by shooting. He has an operation and gets addicted to painkillers he's given. He's been high from then until 2024. On occasion, he would hit the woman he loved. He loved Miss Ventura. He has taken responsibility. I have been there when Sean has prayed for healing for everyone he has hurt." Diddy also wrote a 4-page letter to the judge apologizing for his actions. He said, "I am so sorry for the hurt that I caused, but I understand that the mere words 'I'm sorry' will never be good enough, as these words alone cannot erase the pain from the past." His defense team wanted a sentence of 14 months because this would get him released at the end of the year on time served. However, the prosecutors weren't accepting that at all. They said that Diddy wasn't sorry and he had all the time and resources in the world to change and never once did anything different. They told the court that the sentence Diddy got should reflect the weight of the evidence shown against him during the trials. The prosecutor also made it clear that this case is about a man who did horrible things to satisfy his own sexual gratification. Once the prosecution was all done with their case, Judge Aaron Subramanian started delivering his sentence. Y'all stay with us now because this was right where things started to get dicey. He said that Diddy wasn't being sentenced for acquitted conduct, which means that he wasn't being sentenced for racketeering and sex trafficking since he was found not guilty for those counts. But based on section 3553, which means that the court shall impose a sentence sufficient but not greater than necessary, the judge was going to consider plenty of factors before imposing a sentence on Diddy. He went on to talk about how he was aware of the good things that Diddy had done for the Black community, but that the good things that he had done can never wash away the abuse that his victims suffered at his hands, and that evidence was massive. The judge even went further into it, saying that Diddy's freak-offs and toxic pattern of control irreparably harmed 2 women, and he also made it clear that he didn't have to make it last so long, but he had the power and resources to keep it going for as long as he wanted. With the way the judge was going, most people thought that he was leaning towards a harsher sentence for Diddy, and the public prediction was anywhere between 5 to 7 years.
Calculate the sentencing guidelines. So you're going to hear discussion of a lot of different numbers, base offense levels, enhancements for leader or organizer, vulnerable victim, force or coercion, multiple victims, grouping. So you'll see the judge do a calculation, and once he's done with that calculation, he's going to come up with a sentencing range and likely impose Diddy to a sentence within that range.
The judge also pointed out that even though Diddy's saying that he's sorry and won't do it again, his actions proved otherwise. Remember when the Cassie video came out and he gave the apology? He was still arrested with materials in his room that would indicate a freak-off, and Jane Doe testified that it still happened afterwards. So the judge went on to say that a heavy sentence was necessary to deter. He rejected the defense's recommendation of 14 months and also said that the 11-year sentence that the prosecution wanted was too excessive for the case. So after weighing all the important factors, the court landed on 50 months of incarceration for Diddy, which is about 4 years and 2 months, and he's expected to pay a $500,000 fine and go through 5 years of supervision upon release. And since he wasn't found guilty of RICO, he gets to keep his assets and his empire. So the judge has given less than half of the prosecution's recommendation and also less than the probation department recommendation. Remember that he's been in prison for 14 months, so that is automatically coming off, meaning that Diddy basically has around 3 years left to serve. And then there's always the possibility of him being able to get out a bit earlier on good behavior, which means that he could be walking out sooner than later.
If you look at this on balance and put it in perspective, he is a big winner today. Let me explain why. When we started out this trial with regard to the racketeering charges, he's running a criminal enterprise, he was facing life in jail. In addition to life in jail, which his liberty interest would have been gone, he was facing the forfeiture of all of his assets. Yeah. Now, right, he beats the charges, 3 of them at least, and he gets sentenced now on the other 2, transportation for prostitution.
So by any measure, Diddy and his team would consider this a win, right? Well, not exactly. And child, when I tell you Diddy was bawling his eyes out when he heard this sentencing, based on some sketches that came out of the courtroom, Diddy was completely taken by surprise because he was fully expecting to walk out of that courtroom a free man. People in the courtroom also revealed that Diddy appeared stunned and angry when the sentence was delivered. I mean, this is a man who had already gone as far as booking public appearances and speaking engagements under the assumption that he was going home after the sentencing. So knowing that he wasn't going to have his way was probably a huge blow to his ego. And on top of that, Diddy's lawyers came out of the courtroom to announce that they are officially appealing. They felt like this was a defeat for them, and child, they even took jabs at the judge, saying that he was acting as the 13th juror and Diddy was being unfairly punished.
There is a human being now in custody for 50 months.
Diddy was just sharing.
Based upon conduct that a jury heard, the jury resolved, and the jury rejected. It is really a sad day for everybody.
I don't feel that way.
We are planning to appeal. We think we have strong bases to appeal. The strongest basis is that the jury reached a verdict on coercion. It found there was not coercion, and I think the judge said coercion today as a basis for a sentence at least a dozen times. The jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no sex trafficking, there was no racketeering, everything was consensual, everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the prostitution offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, yes, one that we did not choose.
If that isn't disrespectful to the court, child, I don't know what is. And if Diddy was really a changed man, like they were all crying he was, why doesn't he take responsibility and acknowledge his wrongdoing and just do his time? And this right here was all too much for Kimora, who allegedly spent time keeping up with the trial. And the way that Diddy and his team were acting just proves her point that Diddy is never going to change and maybe doesn't even feel sorry for the things that he put the women in his life through, including her friend Kim Porter. Diddy may have other aspects of his life to appreciate for him, but he is fundamentally different from a defendant who committed a crime from day one, or maybe a few days until the law caught up with him. This was a lifestyle for Diddy for more than 2 decades. Hundreds of people suffered because of it, and even her best friend Kim Porter may have lost her life because of it. And after all that, all Diddy gets is a slap on the wrist? Kimora isn't having that at all.
Well, I was surprised it wasn't more, quite frankly. Based on the prosecutors wanted 11 years. The judge, as we know, said he would be considering things outside of the conviction. And so and wouldn't give him $1 million bond. Or I think later he offered $50 million and you wouldn't give him a bond. So no, I thought he was going to bring the hammer down a little harder. But 5 years is 5 years, 4 years and 2 months rather.
Because we all know deep down that Diddy doesn't think that he did anything wrong and might even come out of there with a lot of bones to pick. IDK, Diddy getting just 4 years in prison ain't enough for me. He spent 20 plus years terrorizing people. He deserved way more time than that. After terrorizing, abusing, and violating women and men for 90 years, Diddy getting 4 years is an absolute disgrace. Diddy booking events for next week because he think he about to be let go is an arrogance I never heard of. And this comment right here really hits the nail on the head. Diddy didn't apologize because he's sorry. He apologized to shorten his sentence. But do y'all think that Diddy got off light? And do you think that he's really sorry about what he put those women through? Sound off in the comments and make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, baddies.